Welcome to the Modern Hotelier, hospitality's most engaged podcast. It's producer John here, and this one is a little bit different. This one's unique because it's a collaboration we did with Josiah Mackenzie of Hospitality Daily while we were at the Hunter Conference earlier this year. We produced as Josiah hosted a conversation with Azim Saju, the CEO of ARK Holdings. In this conversation, Azim talks about their initiative to increase their team's financial literacy, why it is so important to get forecasting right and how technology can help with that, and why if you commoditize your people, the hotel business model just doesn't work. So without further ado, enjoy this conversation between Josiah Mackenzie and Azim Saju.
Azim, thank you for taking time to chat with me. We were at the Hunter Conference. Before we get into talking about some of the things that you just shared from stage, tell me, why did you come to the Hunter Conference?
So this is like my 15th or 20th Hunter Conference. And the first one I came to, I still remember, or attended, because it made me realize that our industry, as we were talking about right before, is so vast. And there's so much place for so many people in our industry. I grew up in the hotel business. So I viewed the business as, an owner-operated type business. And Hunter underscored to me that there was so much more to the business and so many more facets to the business than just the owner-operator.
Well, let's talk about some of those facets. The ARK is involved in the hospitality industry in many different ways. I wonder if you could share with our listeners and viewers, tell us a little bit about ARK and what you do.
ARK is very involved in the hotel business, and all we do is hotels. ARK is a third-party manager of hotels. ARK manages hotels in which I have ownership. ARK also is involved in site acquisition, development, hotel acquisition, underwriting, deal analysis, running major renovations and PIPs and construction, being the owner's rep on construction projects. ARK has a full plate.
You're involved in a lot.
Yeah.
In a lot. Now, you just were on stage here at the Hunter Conference. You said something that caught my attention, and that is, well, a number of things. One of them being you're trying to increase the financial literacy of associates, even down to the front lines, the housekeepers. Why is that? We talk a lot in investment conferences about GOP, stuff like this. Why focus on raising financial literacy?
Because ultimately they control the hotel's performance, right? The housekeeper who checks in the linen order has an impact on your hotel's valuation. The breakfast attendant who checks in the breakfast order, same thing, has an impact on your hotel's valuation. And they have to understand the big picture from a financial literacy perspective on why what they do matters and impacts them and their growth trajectory in that business model. I also think improving their financial literacy improves them on the home front. They become better managers of their own personal finances when their financial literacy is improved on the business front.
I love it. We were talking off air about how you do this even with your own teams. You have a big team here from ARK at Hunter. So you're doing this with your own team. But tell us a little bit about kind of the property level folks. What does that look like practically? How are you increasing literacy for those folks?
We used to do and still do slides, a PowerPoint presentation on the life cycle of a hotel. And you buy it, what happens when there's a PIP 5 years later, the bank's expectation on reserves, where that money is going to come from to do the renovation. Everyone wants to work at a nice hotel. We have brought lenders in to educate our team on how they look at us and me. Most of the debt that I have out there is recourse, meaning I've personally guaranteed on the debt. So I can't go out and just live a big lifestyle because our lenders look at how I live, right? How many toys do I have? And really, to the team member line, going through with them the life cycle of the asset, what it means to personally guarantee, what's involved with that, what's the due diligence there. And I think it's a game changer.
On stage, you said something caught my attention was, at these investment conferences like Hunter, we talk about GOP and you want to translate it down into how does this make my life better? And so you talk about a more beautiful place to work, a beautiful building, things like that. Seems that's so important.
Yes.
Now, the Modern Hotelier talks a lot about technology and the role of technology and how you operate, how you own, how you invest. How does technology or reporting enter the picture for what you just said?
Technology is playing a bigger and bigger role in the hotel space and the hotel picture, regardless of the segment that you're playing in. And I think specifically as it relates to weekly forecasting, your associated labor models or team member models has a big impact on valuation. And there's, of course, technology as it relates to revenue management, but that's been out there. I think the technology as it relates to budgeting and forecasting in particular, especially in the volatile world we live in right now, is a game changer as it relates to technology and the hotel space and valuations.
Why is forecasting so important?
If you overschedule, let's say your hotel does $3 million in revenue, right? And your labor costs are 20% of that, so $600,000. Shaving off 10% of those labor costs can make a nearly $600,000 difference in your hotel's valuation, which in turn allows you to go out and talk to your lender and borrow money so that you can fully invest in that renovation. A nicer product draws more revenue, shifts more share. In turn, you're able to retain your team members, because when your competitor offers your star team member more, you can match that or beat that. So it matters in a huge way.
That's pretty remarkable. So there's this virtuous cycle. There's so many benefits to the business. Now, I feel like at some of these investment conferences, labor's come up and you just mentioned, just some of these numbers, the impact here. How do you think about that against the associate experience, against the guest experience? Is this just a line item you try to cut to zero? Is there something about, how do you think about that? It feels like a tension. I don't know if you feel that way, but is that?
We don't like to use the word labor, right?
Yeah.
We look at them more as team members and human resources. I mean, there is a tension, there's a push and pull there, or a tug of war there. But I think you can mitigate that tension a lot through education. When your team members understand the why, it makes a big difference. When your afternoon front desk person understands that the decisions they make on getting those rooms sold, or if they have a group inquiry, impacts the livelihood of a housekeeper, who oftentimes is a single parent, and their hours and earnings change every day, based in a large part on no fault of their own. Making them feel like they own some of their destiny in terms of execution and management. And I think it allows that message to soften and not be as harsh, where you're not performing, I'm cutting you. I don't think the hotel business model can work if you commoditize your people.
I love that. I love your perspective on this. It's a fresh take, and it feels the era of hotel investment and operations where this is just a rising tide lifting all boats. That era's over, and you need to have an edge. And it feels like the capability, this way of investing and operating, feels like it gives you an edge over others. Before we go, is there anything else that you're proud of building recently at ARK that you feel like gives you an edge in the market and outperform others?
I think our culture at ARK is best in class. Culture and growth are 1A. They have a symbiotic relationship with each other. The advantage at ARK is that we do both. We are growth. We like to grow, but we have a culture to sustain the growth. And the growth sustains our culture. And I think that's our advantage.
You sound very different from most CEOs. What inspires you? What guides you as you think about leading the company?
I love our people. Our frontline people, I just have a tremendous amount of respect for what they do. I said it on stage, but I have a law degree and grew up in the business. Yet I have failed brand QA inspections as a general manager. It's tough. What they do is tough, and I have a tremendous affinity for them and what they do.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Was there anything you were hoping to record about? Anything else on your mind we didn't get to? I appreciate what you shared, but is there anything else you wanted to?
Invest in your team, invest in your business. use great technology that's going to help you manage your expenses and grow your revenues. And there's opportunity out there, especially right now.
I love it. Azim, thank you so much. Really good to speak with you.
You made it to the end of the Modern Hotelier. Thanks for watching or listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Modern Hotelier Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, or subscribe wherever you get your podcast. If you know a good guest, sponsor, or have media needs, feel free to reach out to us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. Thanks and have a great day.